main ribbon over here at the top. And that should be quite familiar with most people that work in Microsoft products. Microsoft Word and Excel and PowerPoint and all that will have this main ribbon with the various tabs. And as we click on them, they will produce their little toolbars. Okay. So although you won't know some of these titles, modeling, view, optimize, etc., you'll still be familiar with the layout, and we will come back and look at these a bit later. Something you won't have seen on the left-hand side are these icons over here. This won't be the same as in Excel. Okay, so we've got this is the visualization, the report view, and it's made up of our report window, and the report window is where we create our visualizations. And a visualization can be anything, and we are going to go over a bunch of them, but they can be just plain sort of visualizations of a number, for instance here, total sales, or they can be graphs, they can be tables, and obviously we utilize all the various, or they can be filters. We utilize all these different visualizations to give our clients the best quality view of their data. So when we're working with our client, obviously they're asking us questions about their data, and we work with them to produce a dashboard or a multiple set of dashboards that provide them with the best in business intelligence that they can have about their business. So it's up to us to choose the correct visualizations, these items over here, to produce quality information for the person to make sound business decisions. So that is where we build these, and we will I will demonstrate some of those building elements in a moment. So that's below that is what's called a table view, and this should be quite familiar with everybody because it looks exactly like an Excel spreadsheet. I don't know if anybody was able to go through the information on the spreadsheet. Sorry, Peter, what did you make of this information um, about this company?
I haven't gone through the information.
Okay, Genevieve, then we'll just take our. Were you able to have a quick look at this this data on the spreadsheet, or not really?
I think it's genetic. No.
Yeah, it's generic information. The reason I chose this one is because it's a Microsoft spreadsheet that is used quite widely. So if you ever go into the Microsoft learning domain and you want to learn more about Power BI, they often use this spreadsheet or this Excel spreadsheet to teach people. So hopefully, it won't be unfamiliar after we finish this this number of workshops. So if you see it again, but essentially, we've got a business that is selling products. These products are Paseo and Montano and Amarilla, and they are selling these products, and they are. Let's have a look right at the bottom over here. It's a table of 700 rows, so there are 700 transactions here. Does that make sense to everybody? That there are 700 transactions in this spreadsheet, and the spreadsheet is divided into various columns, and obviously each column contains information. For instance, segment is the different business segments that these cells belong to, and we've got the country, the product, and each one of these rows is a sale. So I'm just going to go through the columns quickly. And the reason I'm doing this is because I want you to have an understanding of what these visualizations are actually showing you. So if we understand the data that sits in front of us, then it will those visualizations will make a lot more sense. So it's a company that sells products in a number of countries, and they sell them to a number of business segments, small businesses, governments, etc. We have the units sold for that sale. So I'm just looking up here, 3,450. We have the manufacturing price, the sale price, and some serious money they're making there. The gross sales, how much the discount was, the sale value, the cost of goods sold, the profit, and the date. So it's a very, very, very simple spreadsheet, nothing too complicated about it. But it does allow us to delve into the visualizations quite easily and without becoming too complicated. If we look on the right hand side, on the right hand side, we will see that there are the name of this file, financial data. It's called financial data. And when we're on this table view, we can see the ribbon shows us its name at the top here. We can actually change the name if we want to, but there's no reason to do that. Sometimes we do change the names if we duplicate tables and things like that. We can actually just double click on a title and change the names. These names will have come from the database itself. So if we go into the spreadsheet where this data came from, let me just see if I can just go into it quickly. No, don't. Sorry, I don't want to confuse anybody. So this information comes from the spreadsheet, and it lists all the columns, okay, or sometimes called fields. Luke, have you ever heard of the word fields before, like a database field?
Yes.
Okay, that is great, because you're the person that I take with the least amount of knowledge. Okay, so you've obviously been listening to your sister's lessons there.
Indeed.
Okay, so and Tracy, are you familiar with this idea of a field? Tracy, I think you're on mute. Or Tracy's lost.
Yes, I am.
Okay. Okay, so I'm not throwing a curveball at anybody here. Okay, so we got our fields, we got our rows, and all the fields that we are using for this in this database are listed on the side here, and we can see they've got little icons. So these are values. You've got the country and the date. Right. So, and then below that, so I don't think we have to, I'm not going to go into these functionalities at the top here yet, the management relationships and all that sort of stuff. I'm just giving you a brief overview of the interface. Okay, below your table view, we have the model view. Okay. Now the model view is really, when I see that little view over there, it's really more about how we connect the various tables together. And in this case, we have, we have one table, which is the database, or that spreadsheet that we saw early on, that table of information. And if we look down here, we can actually see the various fields that we'll be working with. Okay, and then on the right-hand side, we have what's called a date table. Now, in one of the future workshops, I will be teaching you about date tables and why we need date tables in Power BI. Genevieve, how important are date tables in Power BI? Do you remember? I mean, I know it's been a while. But,
You said date table, and I was trying to remember. No, you're going to have to educate me on this one.
Okay, sorry. I just so we will be doing date tables, but date tables allow us to do what are called time dimension functions in Power BI. But Microsoft doesn't tell you that. So if anybody that's spent years with Microsoft, they're often telling you that everything's incredibly easy, and they do try and make it initially easy for you to get into Power BI. But the problem is that at some point or other, you're going to have it does become more complex. And one of these things that you have to learn about are date tables. Anyway, but don't worry about that yet. We'll cover that in either the next workshop or the third workshop, depending on how we go. Right, so these are the ratios. Are there any questions about this screen that I'm looking at here? Does anybody have any questions?
All good so far.
Okay. I'm just having a look at there are things you can do here. For instance, you can change some of the properties of this table, but in general, we don't really utilize this model view very often. Normally, you'll be bringing in your tables and creating the relationships with them, and then really that's where that's kind of the end of the story here. As you get more familiar and your reports become more complex, you will spend a bit more time here. But in general, initially, you'll only come in here very rarely. So we'd spend 80 to 90% in the report view. We'd spend time and in the table view, very little time here. Now, Genevieve won't have seen this. This is a new element into Power BI. It's our DAX query view, and this is what we'll definitely won't be working on. This is when you have started learning how to write DAX queries, and think of DAX queries or DAX as, and you can just see here, sorry, let me just try to find one that makes a little bit more sense. That, so some of these are quite complicated. Anyway, that it is it's a programming language. That is the extension of Excel's sort of formula language. So, but obviously taken to the next level. And ultimately, we will cover a little bit of DAX later on, but we'll do it at a very, very low level. DAX can be very complex. I'm no genius, as Peter well knows. I'm not don't have a BSc in computer science. I know Excel quite well. And I must say that I found DAX quite intimidating at first, but I did eventually get the hang of it. And so if you apply yourself, you will also be able to get to know a bit more about this programming language.
Can I just jump in there? Just one thing about DAX that I really like is that the methods and the syntax, it's quite self-explanatory sometimes. So like that function there, summarize columns, it's going to summarize columns, I found that quite quite pleasing. So that is one thing about the language in that regard, is it makes itself user friendly because the functions what it does. So at least they do that for us.
Yeah, coming from C.
From C.
But not coming from Excel. yeah, but you're absolutely correct. Like let's just I'll just take one example here of this. I'm just back in the report view, and I'm looking at. Sorry, let me just unhide something here. Okay. Sorry, I was just messing around a bit with my going over what I wanted to do. So I'm just going to make a quick change here so that we have sort of the correct view of the data. Okay, so here we're back in our report view, and I'm just going to show you, just as Genevieve pointed out, that it is a pretty self-explanatory, a lot of these functions. So I'm going to, and this, we'll have a look at our total sales. And if we click on any item in the window, like you'll see that it highlights with a border. And as we look across to the right-hand side, whatever we've clicked on will be highlighted. So in this case, I've created a folder called measures, and there is the item that we are utilizing. So I'm just going to click on this total sales, and we can see there that I've written a formula. So it's very, in this case, it seems very much like Excel. I've just used a sum, and I've just said total sales equals sum. So if you've used Excel, this is a nice, easy intro into DAX, is by utilizing, and all the formulas that you are used to in Excel will be in Power BI, but you'll write them in the DAX syntax. But things like sum and average, let's have a look at another one here. Okay, total profit. So there was just that's also a sum of the profit. Let's but then I'll do, here we have a DAX total year to date. Okay, so I don't think I visualized this total year to date, but just to show you that we have, there are hundreds and hundreds of these formulas. But if I don't know if everybody's done like if statements or and ors or logical statements in Excel. If this then that, that's all in here as well. But I want to point out in a moment, we'll point out the differences between Excel and Power BI. Okay, so just to recap quickly, we've spoken about our ribbons, the top area at let's get back to home, that have all the functionalities that we will use, and depending on what we select, further items will be added to the top menu bar. Okay, so we have our report view, we have our table view. This is where all our tables are kept, and all the tables that we are utilizing will be listed down the right hand side, and we can click between them. Here's our table. This is our date table. It's got our columns, and there's our financial data. And then finally we had our relationship model view. Okay. and then our DAX table, which we won't be looking at. Right. So is that, are there any questions from anybody about this? We will be going over visualizations and data in more detail just now. Peter, anything that you have any questions there?
No, Pat, thank you. I think it's a decent overview.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's pretty straightforward. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So let's talk about, so I keep on referencing Excel because I know that that's what most people are familiar with. Okay. So let's look at obviously the familiarity with Excel, what is familiar, and then what are the differences. Okay, so let's have a look at the differences, because we've seen how familiar it is. Genevieve, what would you say are there the main differences for you between, say, Excel and Power BI? Have you got any thoughts on that?
The main differences in terms of syntax, or
No, in terms of functionality. So if you were a user of Excel, how does Power BI differ from Excel?
I think the options for visualizations, I haven't worked a lot with visualizations in Excel,
Yeah,
but I think Power BI has expanded kind of how you can represent data.
yeah, for sure.
And I think it's also a little bit more user friendly in terms of you can kind of see what visualization, drag and drop. You know what data exactly is going into your visualization. I find Excel's a bit tricky there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they've segmented the data view, how we view the data, from the visualization component, and that really kind of gives you a good idea of what the focus is. We are focusing in Power BI, we are focusing on visualization, on showing people information. Okay, that is the job of Power BI. Business intelligence is about showing information to people so they can make decisions in a way that best represents it. So the difference for me between Excel and Power BI, and I think where a lot of people, and especially having written reports now for a while, is that Excel is formula driven. People write a lot of formulas in Excel. They transform data in Excel. They do a whole variety of manipulation of data. From calculation. So they'll take stuff from their accounting spreadsheet, and it's sort of a mathematical stuff that you can do there. This is not what Power BI is about. We do not manipulate data in Power BI. That's the big difference. In Excel, we manipulate data, we change it. Here in Power BI, the sole purpose of this program is to show people information. So we get information from somewhere, we bring it into our program from and we'll have a look at that in a moment, from various data sources, and then we utilize that data to show people visualizations, graphs, cards, whatever it is, in a way that allows them to make decisions. Now, that, as Genevieve knows, that is not 100% true. We can do what are called data transformations, where we might be required to clean data and to prepare data so that we are able to do this job. But at the end of the day, what your output is as a Power BI developer is a dashboard of some type. Okay, so, I hope that's clear to everybody. Where things often go wrong with Power BI is that clients will start asking you to develop almost like programs. They'll ask you to start developing solutions in Power BI, and that is not what it's for. It's just here to show data to people. Okay, that's where I've sometimes gone wrong, where I've tried to transform the data too much or manipulate the data too much, and that actually is not what it's for. Right. Let's okay, so let me just have a look at we're just talking about the different items that you can actually bring in to, we are talking about how data is brought into the system. So in Excel, you'll have an Excel spreadsheet. You'll just go to a folder on your computer, or you'll go and upload a CSV file of some type. Okay, but this is like, we can get data. It's like the data you can get is like on steroids. We can get data from all over the place. Obviously, right at the top there's an Excel workbook, and I'm just going to go through these just to show you how many. We're not going to go through all of them, but I'll just point out some of the more familiar ones. There's an Excel spreadsheets, there's CSVs. You can talk to a folder, which is really nice. So if you have a folder on your PC and you have a variety of CSV files in there or Excel spreadsheets, you can pull them all in at once. PDF, and then you'll start seeing, and then obviously the main that I think that we utilize all the time, and Peter will attest to that, is that we utilize the majority of the time is we are pulling data in from SQL databases, and SQL database will be accounting software or sales or marketing data. Well, if it's stored on a SQL server, it's very easy for us to access it. And then we'll just roll down this list here, and you will see that there are so many different types of data sources that we can tap into here. Okay, so be rest assured that whatever data source you're wanting to connect to, I'm sure it'll be here. Okay, they obviously on the side here, they will sort of segment it into file, database, Microsoft Fabric, and others. Obviously, in this case, we are utilizing an Excel a workbook that you guys got with your course. Okay, so that is where we would connect to our data, and that's all the different types of data. Once we brought that data in, as I showed you before, it is listed in the financial, in our table view. Right, so let's just go back here. We've done our interface tour. We're going to do a quick demo of building a chart, and then we will go and have a look at that visualization. What I'm going to do is look at the visualizations that we have on our dashboard, and then I'll create another window, and then we will create some of these. And if you want to follow along on your PC, that's great. Okay, so what we're looking at is we're going to now start dealing with these visualizations. So I'm going to, if you see these double arrows on the right-hand side here, the right-hand side of each column here, I'm going to close down my data view so that I have more space. Can people see this the screen okay here? Can you see the numbers and everything, Peter? It's not
Yes, I can see it fine. Thanks, Pat.
Okay. So we're going to be dealing with the visualizations, and we're going to sort of just talk briefly about which ones I think are the most useful and that add most value. Okay, so let's have a look at our visualization. So right at the top here, add data to your visual. So these are, I found this window to be a little bit confusing. So we'll try and make it as clear as possible. So the first thing we do when we want to build a visual is obviously we have to think about how we want to represent that data to our client. Okay, in this case, I have chosen to represent it as just a pure number in what's called a card. Okay, so once we've decided how we want to represent our data to our client, we then go and choose the visual that we want to use. And each type of visual is listed on a row. And in this case, these are our bar charts. So there's a bar chart, there's column charts, and so on and so forth. Okay. Then below that we have our line charts, line and stacked charts. We'll have pie charts and donut charts. Then we get to what they seem to do is they seem to have like the bar graphs, then the line graphs. Sorry, let me just make these a little bit wider. And then we move on to, and there are a whole variety of other ones here, maps and things like that. But in general, 80 to 90% of the time, we are utilizing graphs like we have here. We have a bar graph over here and we have a line graph. But in certain specialized cases, we might need to use a map. So Power BI has to provide all the options to us. So it's almost like sort of 80-20. 80% of the visuals will be made with 20% of these items here. But unfortunately, they all have to be shown to us. Okay. So in this case, when we want to show just a pure number, we are utilizing something called a card. Okay. So we have our graphs and line charts, but we also have the ability to just put a card on the screen. We have multi-row cards. So these are the ones that you'll be utilizing most. We have a slicer, which is represented over here. A slicer is really a filter for your data, but don't worry about that. I'm going through this quite quickly. Don't feel you don't have to hang on to every word I'm saying here. We will go through a lot of these things again in the next tutorials. We're just really still doing the sort of the overview. Then we have a table view. We have what would be seen as what most people be familiar with is almost like a pivot table from Excel. And then there are a lot of more sort of program orientated items. You can have, RScript. I don't even know what that is. I'm sure Genevieve could give us a demonstration of how a Python visual could work, and so on and so forth. So yeah, there are a huge variety of visualizations we can use. we are going for the absolute basic, but in general, over the time I've utilized this product, there's hardly been items outside of what you see on the screen in front of you. This dashboard is very, very typical of a dashboard that will be created for a client. Any questions about that?
Not yet.
Peter, does that make sense to you?
Yeah, Pat, all good, thanks.
Okay. Right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show or demonstrate how we could create this dashboard utilizing no DAX at all, not utilize any programming whatsoever. And if you have Power BI open, you can actually follow along with me to create this. So really, this is just a super easy way of starting out your journey. Okay, so what I'm going to do, just like Excel, right at the bottom here, you could think of them as sheets. Okay, this one's called a dashboard. I'm going to click on the little plus sign, and if you want to follow along with me, you can do so now. So I'm going to click on a new page. So this would be a new reporting page. And once we've just played around here, I'll take you into the online service to look at to show you exactly what it looks like. Okay, so here we have a completely blank screen. Okay, so what I like to do when I first start out, so this is my best method, is obviously we'll have a number of questions about our data, but I'm just going to play off the dashboard here. I'm just going to recreate this. Okay, so I go and I have a look at my table view. Okay, and getting used to the names of your fields is quite important. So now we want our total sales. So we'll go along and say, okay, well, there's our column with the sales in. We come back to our visualization window, and we're going to expand our data view. And we're going to, if it's closed, we get these little arrows here. We can click on the arrows to expand the view. And we want to show the total sales as a card, like we did in the first dashboard. So we're going to go down our list of visualizations, and we're going to come across this item here. It's called a card, and we just simply click on it, and it is placed. It's almost like a PowerPoint item. You can resize these items. You can resize any of the visuals. So obviously that's quite important. We can just drag them around the screen and place them where we want to. Okay, so we're just going to place this top left-hand side of our screen. Okay, and when we put a visual onto the screen, there is a change below the visualization, all the types of visualizations we have. Just below there, this window over here that I'm highlighting now will change. It will have a lot more options depending on what we have chosen. And I'm just going to demonstrate that now. We are going to come back to the card. But if I want to do a stacked bar chart, you will see that this has now changed. Okay. And if I choose, say, a matrix, whatever visualization, all its options are placed below this item here. And this is where you'll spend a lot of your time working, because this is where we will drag in items. Let's go back to our card again. Okay, and we can see here under the fields that it says add data fields here. Don't worry about the drill through, cross report. These are much more complex. Sorry. These are much more sort of additional functionalities that we don't have to worry about at the moment. I think, yeah, we'll explain drill through it at another stage. So don't worry about this aspect here. So we want to get a total of our sales. So we just drag our sales value from the table view here, and we drag it into the field, and it will come up with a value. And in this case, it's defaults to sum of sales. We're going to come back to that in a moment. And you can see immediately I am now adjusting my visual. I can move it around now. I'm adjusting it. And once we have created the visual, we can start editing the visual. For instance, in this case here, we can change all elements of it. We can change the way that the numbers are laid out, its formatting. We can change the titles, how the card is labeled, and I can absolutely promise you that Microsoft has gone to enormous lengths to make every aspect of these visualizations incredibly customizable. Sometimes I think they've gone completely overboard, but that's just my opinion there. Okay, so if we have a look here, we have the word sum of sales. Now, why did it add them up? Why didn't it do something else for us? Well, it's the default action that it takes. So I'm going to just drop this down, this arrow down here, and we will see that there are familiar functions here, or like formulas that we can select. And this is what's really nice at this very beginner stage, is that we can just drag something onto a screen, and the Power BI will provide us with some really quick wins. I take it, sum, average, min, max, counts, count distinct, and then there's standard deviations, and I've actually never used these. And then there are some other options over here, but really what we'll be doing is staying in this area here. So we're going to stay with sum at the moment. I don't know if everybody's managed to do that yet, or if you want to. I'm going to post this up as a video. Peter, are you going to follow along with this, or would you rather just let me demo it?
No, just keep the demo running, Pat.
Yeah, okay. You guys, the video is there. You can replicate this with your own file by rewatching the video. Okay, so we can get more stuff done. Okay, so we've got sales. Notice that the title of the item is sales, sum of sales. We want to change that, so we can actually just double click on this item and we can rename it. We're just going to say, sorry. Sorry. Okay, so we've renamed our card, and we put it on the top left-hand side. Now we have other items at the top here. So this panel is made up of sub-panels. Okay, so this is adding data and choosing your visual, and then next to it is format your visual. Okay. Now I've chosen card here because it's the easiest one to understand in terms of formatting. So I'm just going to click on this callout value. Now callout value is this number here. It's the value that we are demonstrating here. And you can see that the callout value, we can change all aspects of the formatting of the number. Okay, we can change how the number is represented. Okay, so what I was saying before is that the Power BI system will allow you to do infinite numbers of adjustments to the formatting to find the sweet spot in terms of its visualization. And they try and really they really try to cover all the bases. And just a point about that is that every single month Power BI brings out a new version with new elements in it. Every single month there's a new version with updated items. And one of the biggest parts of these updates is providing more and more formatting functionality. So, you'd be hard pressed not to find a formatting item that you need to change that isn't there. I'm just going to demonstrate here. We have a category label, and that's this word over here, total sales. And if I click on that, it will disappear. Okay, obviously then it has the value has very little meaning for us. But the reason you can turn it off is because underneath there's a visual underneath the general formatting. We have another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 other ways of formatting this information. Under properties, we're looking at the size, the position, the padding, and all those elements. But what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to, which is more often than not, I'm sure Genevieve will agree, is that we'll put on something called a title, and we will add in, I'm just going to still use total sales. So I can put a title in, a customized title here. I could, and then, let me just get down to my title again. And the nice thing about this is that we can fully customize where the text is laid out. For instance, I'm going to move my total sales to the center. I don't like the color black. I'm going to turn it into a nice pink. I'm going to make it bold. I'm going to increase the size of the item, etc., etc. We can even have subtitles so what I'm showing here is that there are just so many different ways of formatting this that sometimes it can become quite dizzying in terms of its the amount of things that you can do in here. Okay, so let's go back. So we've created one visual, but now we want to just create further visuals, and we're just going to go back to our card. So we're going to look at our main dashboard. So you can, when you work on yours, you can utilize the same way that I'm doing this. We're going to look at our total profit now. So let's go create a total profit. So, Tracy, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. So, Tracy, let's look down our list of fields, and what field should we use? We want to get a total profit. Which can you see the field that we should be using?
The profit field.
Yeah, right there. Sorry, I'm just making sure you haven't fallen asleep.
Okay.
So the first thing we're going to do is we want to make a card visual. So we're going to click on our card, and then we are going to drag our profit across. And you'll notice that Power BI just will place your visual in an open space. Okay, we can bring it up, and in this case, as you see from our dashboard there, that it was total profit was next to this item over here, so we're going to put it up there, and we want to change the name. We want to do the same thing. We're going to put a title in. Okay, so we are going to go and click on our format your visual. Okay, we don't want to see the word sum of profit. We are going to turn that off. We are now going to drop down our call out. This is our call out value. Okay, and let's just change it into a different color. And we saw all those other items there. And then we'll put in a title. And initially, what I would suggest to you, we can do things like I can go along to this formatter, just like you can do in Excel and Word and things like that. And I can just click on one visual, the same type of visual, click on our formatter, and then just click on another item, which is quite nice. But initially, I think it's really important that you do these things sort of manually. Don't simply use the shortcuts, because you have to become familiar with these. You're going to spend most of your time in Power BI in this environment, formatting and fiddling around in the screen to make it look like something that your client could use. Okay, but you can see that once I use the format brush at the top left-hand side that I'm indicating now, that it obviously just took the formatting from one and transposed it over to the other. Okay, but we're not going to stay with that. We want a different color for our heading. So here's our title. We drop it down, and these are all the options we have to do with our title. And in this case, I'm just going to change the color. Okay, and you can see that there are a lot of other values that we could change here, but in 9 times out of 10, you're going to be used a tiny fraction of all of these. The more busy you get, the more complex you make your dashboard, the less people are able to see out of it. If you change all the colors and you make it very, very busy, I just find people just get very confused. So try and keep it. I mean, this is absolutely terrible what I'm doing now. Hopefully no one will make one like this. But what I'm trying to explain here is that the less is more in this case. But Microsoft Power BI, Microsoft has been not forced, but they do provide every single option that you can change in the on your visuals. Okay, so I'm just going to show you that once we have this item here, we can actually make copies of our, and just as I was telling you not to do any shortcuts, here I'm going to show you a shortcut. Just like in any Microsoft product, I can just go Control-C for copy, or I could just go copy visual, and then I go Control-V, and I can simply paste an existing visual and duplicate it over here. Okay, and you will see that yeah, essentially there's the name of the field we're using, sum of profit. It's been highlighted there, but in this case we don't want the sum of profit. What did we want over here? We wanted to do a total of units sold, so we're going to take out. So if we want to remove a field, we just simply click over there and it will remove the field for us, but it will retain the formatting. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go find our total units sold. So let's have a look down there. There's our units sold. Tracy, I won't ask you to find it again. Okay, so sorry. Select our visual. And you see, because I copied that visual over to this one over here, it retains the formatting. So that actually, makes it pretty easy to format. Once you've got your template working, and your colors and the size of and the types of fonts, you can just duplicate them across. Okay. However, this is not total profit. So let me find someone. Kevin, are you there?
I am indeed.
Kevin, I don't know if, I don't want to put you on the spot here, but if I want to change the title, so it's not total profit, we want to say total units sold. Can you just talk me through how I'd get there?
Good one. Select it.
Okay, so I've selected my visual. Where should I go now?
Sorry, you're catching me out here. So double click where it says total profit. I want to see if something works.
Yeah. Exactly. You see now that's exactly. You see now. Sorry, just to put you on pause there for a moment. That is a very intuitive observation by Kevin. Very intuitive, and this is something that I would have done immediately. And the reason why you would have done that is because in Excel, a lot of the items that you can change on a graph or whatever in Excel, you can simply double click on it, and you will be able to adjust it, or in a picture in Microsoft Word or PowerPoint. So actually, that's like a really good guess, to be quite honest. Unfortunately, Power BI has their own way of doing it. So, okay, so everything has to be done through this format your visual here. Okay, so
yeah, the thing of the little brush.
Yeah, the little brush here. Okay, and then you would think that it would be straight underneath here, because you'd think that the word title would be right here in front of you, but most of the function and most of the changes are under general.
General, yeah.
Okay, so let's just do that again. So click on it, go across to our formatting element, click on that, down it comes, we go across to the word general, and then we can go down to our title. Sorry, there was a question?
No.
Okay, wouldn't that be nice if I could just go there and double click on that, Kevin? That would be great. Right. Okay. I'm hoping this is making sense to everybody. Yeah, and then it's a bit difficult online for people just to sort of to pop up. You know, obviously feel free to interrupt me at any stage and ask questions. But if you have any questions about what we're doing here, that you can go into that Google Groups, or you can just email me directly. I'd like to try create the conversation on the online system so that everybody can share in the knowledge. So if you ask me a question, when I reply, it will go to everybody, and that's really great for communal learning then. So yeah, obviously I'm more than happy to answer any questions and to explain anything online as well. Right. So here we have we've made 3 cards. We've seen how we can duplicate them. We see where we go to do the formatting. Let's have a look here and create 1 or 2 charts. Okay, so here we get asked by our client, we would like to see sales by segment. And if I drop down this little list over here, we get the specifics of the segments. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So when we see that, and we want to see use a visual, in this case, we've chosen a nice bar graph. So let's go and create that quickly. Okay. So we're going to go and grab a bar graph here. Once again, we just click on the visual. It appears right in front of us. Okay, then we have the Y, the X, and the legend. Okay, so I'm just going to drag down the value. So we wanted, sorry, let me just can't remember. Okay, we wanted the sales. Okay, so we want our sales right at the top here. Okay, and we see straight away that, I'll just make this a bit bigger, that this is the sale total. If I rest my mouse over it, it will show that. But now we want to put in our segments. So now we will go along and find our segments, and we will drag that into the y-axis. Okay, and now what we'd like to do is we would like to update, say maybe put a title in here. Okay, so Genevieve, we want to put a title in here. How could we do that? What should I do now? Can you remember?
Yeah, you need to get to the brush, right? Under the build visual, the second tab, format your visual. And then if you scroll down, data labels are off. Oh, under general.
Yeah, okay. Great. I don't want to trick you there, but this is one of the most confusing parts of, and it's such a simple thing, is that the most basic things are actually kept under general. So just remember that there's this general option here when you are trying to format. Okay, and then obviously we can go to a title. Here it has defaulted, provided us with one, so some of the visuals will immediately put in a title because that's what makes sense. It's and we can see that it's called sum of sales by segment. So I'm just going to take out the sum of. Okay. Press enter. Once again, we can fully change all elements of the formatting. You know, and sort of, yeah. You can change the values of the numbers and so on and so forth. But here now you can see that there's a huge pile of options now. One of the ones that clients seem to like that come across is data labels. Okay, this seems to be a standard. Most clients would like to see the numbers. Okay, so I'll often go and put the data labels on, and obviously it's you know, if you rest your mouse pointer over it, it'll tell you the exact value. But you know, it's also nice to have the value on the visual itself, unless it's too busy. Okay, and let's put up another visual here. Okay, we could of course just go Control CV and just create another one. You know, and if we wanted to just drag and say we will take out the sum of sales, and we'll just put in a profit, and you know, so you can see that it's you know, we can work quite quickly with this you know, about duplicating visuals and that sort of stuff. So just to remind you that, yeah, you can copy and paste, but let's go back to our dashboard again. And here we want to use a line graph, and it's total sales by year and month. So we are going to go back, okay, and we're going to select a line chart, okay, and there's just such a huge variety of them here. You can see that I mean, yeah, every type of line chart or bar graph that you could ever think of will be shown. It produces it. I put it up over here. We're going to, here we get our options for the items. We are going to put in the value. So I think it was sales. So total sales by year and month. So we're going to grab our sales. We drag, sorry, normally drag here, but you can drag it straight onto the visual. Okay. And it's pretty uninformative because it's simply, we haven't put in any X values here. And in this case, I'm going to go along and I'm going to grab a date from our date table, and we are going to grab the, sorry, and here we have, let me just, and here we have our visual showing the sales. Okay, and then we'll just do one more. Here we wanted to put in a little table for our client. So once again, we'll just go, I'm just going to put this table at the bottom here. Once again, we go to our build visualization. We go down the list, and here we find the table view. We click in our table visual, and it puts a little visual in there. Now we are going to fetch our values. I'm going to click on my table view and click on my sales value. So that was one of the values we wanted to see. And because it's a table, obviously it just puts the straight value there. But let's have a look at what else we needed to put in there. We wanted the product, the total sales, the total profit, and the profit margin. Okay, so we're going to put the products in now. Okay, so obviously that doesn't look too good. So here, when we're able to use multiple fields in a table, we can start adjusting and moving them about. Okay, so I'm going to just drag product above total sales. Okay, we wanted profit, I think. So we're going to chuck in profit as well. And then which one did I use here? Sorry, I'm getting a bit confused here. I think I did a customized that one. Sorry.
So what about units sold? That should work.
Yeah, we'll just chuck in units sold then. Okay, I think I was, and sum of units sold. Okay, and once again, every element of this table can be formatted, from the titles to the rows to the names to how big the fonts are, all these things. And like for instance, I think we'll just maybe just reduce the values over here. We can just reduce the size of the values, increase the size of the values.
But our time is up. It's 8:30.
Cool. So yeah, let me just wrap up there. Then is that so what we've done so far is we've looked at the interface, we've seen how information is drawn in and the different elements. What I'd like you to do is to go and try and replicate this dashboard on another page. Okay. And just practice and play with the different types of visuals. You know, it can, you know, you can't break anything. You know, the data doesn't change if you create a visual. So yeah, if you could just go and play around. And if there's any questions or if you want to know more about any type of visual, or if you want me to look at your file or you have any questions, obviously, please let me know, and then I will answer them in the group chat. And yeah, and I will see you next week. Thanks, everybody.
Pat, yeah, thanks very much, Pat. You know, I like your approach that you've taken from the top down. I think it's very useful. Thank you for that. And just encourage everybody to practice. Just a quick bit of admin. Next week is the 16th, which is a public holiday, but we're still going to hold it, this training at the same time, 7 o'clock.
Cool. I'm happy with that.
Okay. Cool.
Great
Does
stuff.
anybody
Thanks,
have any
everybody.
questions?
And thank you for, I know it's quite a lot to cover in one lesson, but I've tried to make it as simple as possible. The main thing is to get your hands on the program and just start playing with it. I've tried to give you a little kickstart, play with all the different types of visuals, and if you have any questions, let me know. Thank you very much for your time this evening.
Excellent.
And I look forward to
Thanks, Pat.
chatting to you again.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Pat.
everybody.
Thanks, Pat.
Bye.
Well done.
Thank you,
Cheers.
Pat.
Bye.
Thank you.
Very rusty. Everything. It's well, my file is well organized. I do have a different standard, for myself. So, but I think the way it's structured is really good. It's very, very simple. The way the course, the way I've structured the course is very simple and straightforward. So it doesn't overcomplicate things. That's important. But it could be yeah. Yeah. My brain was a little bit fried because I'm hungry. What's that? 4? No, I thought it was starting at 7:30. I was about to leave to go set up. I was going to go, I usually go like 15 minutes, 20 minutes before, set everything up. Because I'm